Hi y'all, I think we're live on Facebook and Instagram. So are you aware of the laws that impact how you hire employees? So hi y'all, thanks so much for joining me. In less than 15 minutes, I'll be sharing with you one of the federal laws that relate to employees and your business. Please like and share this video if you get value from it, and if you're listening to it on the podcast, type hashtag replay. Who's Agilepreneur Official? Hi, thanks so much for joining. Just talking about, some federal laws that impact our businesses that many of us are not always aware of. So I'm Dr. P. I'm a strategic business coach, and I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years in K-12 schools. I've served on professional organization committees, and I teach in an online graduate psychology program part-time at the master's level. So I remember applying for jobs here in the US, right? And I remember seeing at the bottom or top, somewhere in that job posting, something about the employer not discriminating applicants on the basis of color, race, or national origin. And I was thinking, wow, what an interesting statement to be including in a job description and a job posting. Because I'm like, okay, you want to make it aware that you don't discriminate. Okay, that's, like I said, I found it to be interesting. And then throughout my career in K-12 schools, I'm working on professional organization committees that were related to education. I did learn and the reason for including that statement. And I also learned even more about it when I completed my doctorate, why that statement was so important. Even though it was a small statement, it was still a very important statement for me to be aware of, because it means something to the business, right? And it also means something to you, the applicant, when you are reaching out to that business. So get this, now you are not an applicant, right? You're a business owner. You're a business owner looking to grow a business. That's what it's all about. And you might be looking to stay small as a solo entrepreneur because some people want to stay as a solo entrepreneur. That's fine. But I'm talking to those business owners who aspire to grow their business in the sense of having more employees than just them. And this is where this law really comes, these federal laws come into play, because you do need to become familiar with those federal laws that prohibit discrimination. And as a business owner, like I said, who's aspiring to build a team to grow your employees, I really highly encourage you to become familiar with those laws. Because even working in the school system, I had to become familiar with federal laws, for education, federal laws, to special education, federal laws, and every state I worked in, I had to become familiar with that state federal laws. And as an administrator, I had to learn the employment laws that were related as well. So as a business owner, I'm doing the same thing, becoming familiar with the laws that relate to being a business owner. And the law I want to talk about today, not the entire law, don't get me wrong, because there's a lot to this law. It's just two aspects of the law that I want to bring to your attention, especially if you're looking to build and grow your team, build and grow your business that you have. And I know we all have businesses in different industries that are going to be fulfilling different purposes because we have different value propositions, right? So this video might not be for everyone, but it might be for you. So stick around to find out if it truly is going to be a video for you. So you might even be wondering, why do you even need to worry about the hiring practices, discrimination being present in hiring practices, because you're going to go and work with an agency, and that agency is going to get you whoever you need to fill those positions. Okay, but here's the thing though, whose business is it? Is it your business, or is it the agency that you're going to work with business? Just think about that, because being that it's your business, wouldn't you want to be invested and be aware of possible laws that impact certain decisions that you're going to be making? I mean, I want to be, and as an administrator, I made sure even when working with agencies that I was still involved in the process, and I really encourage you to still be involved in the process. Don't get me wrong, there are amazing employment agencies out there who can be filling those hard to fill positions for you, and they're amazing. I mean, they work really hard on your behalf, but guess what? They work off of the information you tell them. They do. They work off of the information that you tell them. So whose business is it when you're working with an employment agency? So when you're looking to fill those positions, what are you going to say to that employment agency to help them actually recruit who you're looking for? So these are two things, whose business in it is it, and what are you going to tell the agency? These are two questions I really encourage you to think about, because it is your business. And if you're looking to expand your business and bring people on board, you need to be aware of the federal laws here in the U.S. that impact those hiring decisions, okay? You really do. And especially the ones that relate to discrimination. So the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is one of those federal laws. And like I said, I'm not going through the whole federal law, just two parts of the federal law that are relevant to us as business owners. At your own leisure, you could go look up the rest of that act if you want to. So with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, there are several aspects of the act, and I want to talk about Title VI and Title VII. Those two titles in particular. So if you're a company, a business, an organization that receives federal financial assistance, then you really want to stick around for this video, because Title VI really applies to you if you receive federal financial assistance. So within Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and natural origins in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. So if that is your company, your business, your organization, that you are receiving federal financial assistance, then listen up to this Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, because it could very well mean you. So if you're still trying to figure out if it truly is you, and you might be wondering what are those programs and activities anyways that are included in this title, in Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, right? It may or may not be related to your business, but I really want to make sure that I share this information with you just in case that it does, because I know we all have different kinds of businesses. So even though this part of the act may not relate to your business, it doesn't mean that there isn't another section within the Civil Rights Act that relates to your business and discrimination. So with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, a program or activity is defined as, are you ready for this? Grab a piece of paper or pencil, or you can always just rewind this, so you can get that information. So Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, a program or activity is defined as a department, agency, special purpose district, or other instrumentality of a state or of a local government. That's one. Another one, number two, is a college, university, or post-secondary institution or a public system of higher education. Number three is a local education agency, system of vocational education, or other school system. That's three. Number four is an entire corporation, partnership, or private organization, or an entire sole proprietorship principally engaged in business of providing education, healthcare, housing, social services, parks, or recreation. And number five is any other entity which is established based on a combination of two or more of those that I mentioned in numbers 1 through 4. So again, we all have different kinds of businesses, and I talk to individuals who have a wide variety of businesses, and a lot of them do work within education and do provide some type of education, some type of vocation. So this might be related to your business. And if it's not, stick around for the other title. Title VII might actually be related to your business. So for Title VI, if you're thinking that your business falls into one or more of these categories, really give it some thought, because it could be impacting how you do business. And if your business really is within one of these categories and you are receiving federal funds, then I encourage you to review some activities that you are engaged in. I'm going to give you a list that I found in my research on this federal law, but it's not limited to just these 14 areas. Yeah, there are 14. So here's the list. When you're looking at your activities to see if you're engaging in any discriminatory practices, look at your admissions, look at your recruitment, financial aid processes, academic programs, student treatment and services, counseling and guidance, discipline, classroom management, grading, vocational education, recreation, physical education, athletics, housing, and employment. Okay, those are the activities that you can look at within your business, within your corporation, within your organization to see if you are engaging in any type of discriminatory practices. So if your business receives federal funds and you're found to have violated Title VI of this Civil Rights Act and you cannot achieve voluntary compliance, just know this: the federal agency that provided you with that assistance can terminate it and refer you to the Department of Justice for legal action to be taken. So that's why I really want you to be aware of the impact of this, because if your business falls into one of those categories, you can be held legally responsible. And that action is going to probably depend, the extent of that action is going to be dependent on, the charges that are brought up against you. So, okay, if you're thinking that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act has nothing to do with you, and you don't have to be aware of whether or not you're engaging in discriminatory practices, think again, because Title VII of the Civil Rights Act speaks specifically to protecting employees and job applicants from employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. And it also includes prohibiting discrimination based on pregnancy, sexual orientation, and gender identity. So this is now Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. So it includes protection of employment decisions such as recruitment, selections, termination, and other decisions concerning terms and conditions of employment. So hey, if that is you and you are looking to hire employees, that is you. I mean, seriously, it is you. Because if you're looking to hire employees, you have to look at the processes that you are going to be engaging in and refrain from appearing as though you are engaging in discriminatory practices, and refrain from engaging in blatant discriminatory practices. So this title, however, does apply to businesses that have 15 or more employees. So the purpose of Title VII was to level that playing field for applicants and employees, and for you as the employer to consider only objective job-related criteria in making employment decisions. So again, not using your own biases, but objective job-related criteria for making your employment decisions. That is really important to avoid engaging in discriminatory practices. So while working in schools, as I mentioned before, I became really familiar with this law, especially when I was working with my human resource department to develop some job descriptions, looking at some recruitment processes, looking at selection, the interview process, and the hiring procedures. Because I wanted to make sure I was not engaging in any discriminatory practices. So it does require working with your team. So again, if you're going to be working with an agency, that's great. I'm not saying not to work with the agency, but the agency is going to require information from you to know how, who, when, where to recruit. So you need to be aware of whether or not you are giving them information that is discriminatory. So that is your responsibility as the business owner. But just because, though, your business doesn't currently have 15 employees, or you don't plan to grow your business to having 15 employees, that don't mean that you should not be aware of your possible discriminatory practices that you probably have in your business. Because regardless of the size of your business, you want to ensure that you're objectively hiring and retaining qualified individuals who align with the values and mission of your business. Well, you may be saying that you don't intentionally discriminate among applicants and your current employees. I really do encourage you to review your current hiring practices, your current termination practices, your current promotional practices in terms of how you promoted employees, or even your salary practices, your bonus practices. Review those things to see if you are truly discriminating among your employees. And the data is going to be there in front of you to help you to be able to identify if you are. And if you've realized, hey, even though you think you're not, but your data is showing a different story, I really encourage you to work with a business coach or a business consultant to develop a plan to learn those strategies that you need so that you can engage in non-discriminatory practices. So I hope you got value from this. I'm Dr. Priscilla Kuser with Priscilla Kuser Consulting Solutions. Thank you so very much for joining me. Remember, solutions plus actions equals results. Bye, y'all.